piss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump, feel it deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
During the fires, I wasn't able to talk about anything else. So I was like, you know what? Fuck the fires. I was featured in other shows, and I was like, fuck, just because I was in LA, I was like, you know what? No. Forget the show. Sorry if I'm cursing, guys. I'm trying not to also. And I'm like, you know what, dude? No. I'm going to drop a freaking Bigfoot episode. And I had the beautiful Bigfoot Bite. She's also based in Florida. And I had her on, and we talked a little bit about Bigfoot. Then we did a mental health episode. And guess what? They freaking blew up. So what the heck? You know, people they're willing to dive into different stuff, not only the mainstream media. Testicles 1, 2. Testicles. Welcome back to Paranormal Radio Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Trebles Garcia, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing episode lined up for all of you guys. Before anything, I want to remind you that the most important thing that you could do for the show is word of mouth. Do not forget to share us and check us out at paranormalradio.com. Today, forget the affiliations, guys. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. I'm not even going to start pushing those names again because you guys are talking crap and saying that I sold out. Everybody's got to eat, bro. There's no shame in my game. All right, kids? Whatever. If you're supporting the show still to this day, drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Now, let's dive deep into the deep end of the pool and set the freaking mood. Today, I have the privilege and the honor of sharing my platform and the show with Raven and TopLobsta from Nephilim Death Squad. What's up, fellas? How you guys doing today?
What's going on, brother? Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited. How much would it cost for you to narrate my life like that?
I'll do it for free, bro. I love doing it.
I'm enjoying this. This is fun.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, we like doing a little banter here. Like to, shape shift a little bit, and we dive into the, this is like conspiracy on training wheels, kind of like how Tinfoil Hat says, and we like to keep it dark, but also have a little of laughter in it. Deliver every single message with laughter. That's very important.
Can I ask you something, Angel? I know this is probably not what you had planned, but immediately
His name is Trebles.
You were talking
me, Angel.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You were talking about the LA fires, and we've not delved into it much. Now, I don't want you to have to beat it to death if your audience has already heard it, but I just want to know, the other day I saw a video. It was a guy standing in the street, and he's recording the Hollywood sign, and the Hollywood sign is definitively not on fire in this guy's video, but he's showing you that all the viral videos are showing you that the Hollywood sign is on fire. So I don't know what to even believe now, which is very often the case. Is it terrible out there? It looks terrible, but I'm getting mixed messages now.
The LA County is freaking huge. The area that burned down is mid to upper class, first of all. Second, the Hollywood sign did not burn. This is kind of like diving into like the dead internet theory, and you cannot believe what you see online, and everything's controlled by AI, kind of. So it's kind of like most of those viral videos are AI. However, the Sunset Fire did come 3/4 to a mile close to Sunset Boulevard, which is extremely close to Hollywood. And surprisingly, now that I think about it, that was the first fire that was contained. Oh, I know why, because they couldn't have the little gem burn up, right? So, yeah, no, the Hollywood fire did not burn up. However, the Wilson Mountains did, and that was where our cell towers are at. So it could have gone dark pretty fast.
That's incredible, because I was very much under the impression that was the case. If you're looking on Twitter or any of these social media platforms, it's like inundated over and over and over again. The hills are burning, the Hollywood sign. It's a very iconic image. Funny to find out that's not true at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the hills did burn, but not the Hollywood sign. And more than a lot of people were displaced. That's all I'm going to say. I don't care if you guys are rich or not. And I'm not going to dive deep into what the conspiracies are behind that stuff. But I don't like seeing people suffer, bro. Regardless if you guys are rich or not, it's kind of messed up if you ask me. Just put yourself on their shoes. Now, guys, where can people find you?
You can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, audio or video. We're on YouTube, but needless to say, we experience quite a bit of censorship on YouTube. So if you're looking for our full catalog, a lot of episodes have been removed off of YouTube, our own doing preemptively. You can find us on Rumble. You could also find us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. Otherwise, your audio platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You could also find David at David L. Corbo on Twitter, where he's going viral, getting doxxed, getting CPS called on him. You can follow me on Top Lobster with an A. I'm on like all anywhere that you type the name in, but mainly if you really want to have some fun, I'm on X. We're on Twitter. That's where we run that place. You know, we're the crazy people running the insane asylum. So come on, hopping over there and lose your mind a little bit with us.
I haven't even checked you guys out on Twitter, man. Shut the front door, bro. Good stuff. Now I know where to follow you.
Yeah, Twitter's a bit of a hellscape, but it's where the conversation's happening, so it's where we are.
It's where
That's
I've
where
learned
it's
to
at,
navigate,
bro.
right? Yeah, we've learned to navigate the culture and I guess like we kind of nudge culture here and there on Twitter because we've figured out the algorithm and how to word things and stuff. So it's a fun place, man. If you learn how to use it, you could really cause some havoc.
Mm.
You know what, bro? Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I'll be honest with you, I've never gotten used to Instagram. I mean, to Twitter. All I use is Instagram as my main networking platform, and I think that's where all my followers and listeners are getting most of the data that I put out. But it's always good to experiment, and I didn't have like 300 followers on Twitter. Kind of sucks. Hey, I got to start somewhere, huh?
Right.
All right, man. Hey, the reason I got you guys here today and I got you guys for about an hour is because I seen that you guys are making waves. Shout outs to Paranoid American, Thomas from Paranoid American. Obviously, he's amazing. Juan on Juan also. I see that you guys are working with Chaos Twins back there in the thing. And
Oh, yeah,
all
yeah.
your, yeah. And all the people that you guys are connected with, mad shout outs and mad love and respect to the community. Now, let me talk to me a little bit about the Giants, bro. Some secret Smithsonian Giants. That's one of the episodes I was really intrigued on. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, I mean, as soon as you start delving into the topic of the Nephilim, right? That's our show's namesake. You're going to start to knock on the door of the Smithsonian, and basically the way it goes is throughout history, there's multiple instances of people uncovering, giant skeletons. And I don't mean giant as in just like a regular tall guy. I mean, definitively a giant, arguably the same giants that the Bible talks about when it says that they were on the earth during the days of Noah and after. And so what ends up happening multiple times throughout history is someone will have this unbelievable discovery. They'll unearth this skeleton and they'll go to the only authority that they think they can find on the topic, which is the Smithsonian, right? It's like you discover some bones or some fossils, things of that nature. You're going to call the Smithsonian. You're going to try to do what's right and get this into the hands of the experts. Well, it turns out that the experts simply never display them. They just, it seems, dump them into the East River, and then the story just goes quiet after that. And I don't know how many times this has happened, but enough that it's a bit of a phenomenon. So it seems that maybe the real name of the game when it comes to the Smithsonian is obfuscation. It's hiding our past, and for whatever reason, and I'm sure we can get into that, it is not in their best interest to display giant bones.
We can talk mounds, technology, bones, fake dinosaurs all day, but let's dive deep into that. Why? Why would they alter time and change? Why would it change the history on us, bro? Controlling us? Consumption? What can possibly, how can they possibly benefit? Spiritually?
Yeah. So spiritually, if they can spiritually handicap you, I think that they have you right where they want you, and they have spiritually handicapped us. I mean, as Tucker Carlson said, probably since the 60s, this is a spiritually dead world. Like, we're not to say like, we should all be new agey or whatever, but like, we have no idea. We're not in touch with that part of our history at all. So, what they've done is they've consistently obfuscated these bones, even the idea of some of these supernatural things that were happening, and it's these things are mentioned in the Bible. Obviously, we're Christians, so we're going to reference the Bible, but they're referenced throughout every instance of mythology in the entire world. And it's the same story. There's always some kind of a flood. There's always some kind of an archetype of there's a Christ archetype. They're worshiping the sun. They're telling the story of Tammuz. I mean, these things repeat itself, and they repeat themselves for a reason. It's because, in our opinion, people are trying to tell the same story, and they are being influenced by the same entities. So they are telling the same story, but things get like a little bit skewed because of maybe translations, maybe time, maybe culture, or maybe even the entities that are in their locality. And also, we've got to keep in mind these guys are not necessarily there to tell you the truth, but they're going to tell you something close to it.
And
So-
I would argue that as far as the why goes, I'm not sure that the Smithsonian knows. This sort of information is always compartmentalized, right? So it's those at the top that have more information than those at the bottom. So I'm sure they have employees that they're sending out to recover these things. They don't tell them the nature of what they're recovering, and they don't tell them the nature of what's going to happen to them after they're recovered. But I would say that there is a lot of industries, institutions rather, like the Smithsonian, like NASA, like Hollywood even, that have a vested interest in obscuring our past, and more specifically the nature of humanity and the realm that we inhabit. And I think that the real big picture here is to convince us differently of our creation than what the Bible says. So in the Bible, it talks about God creating man, right? But if you go to sort of the New Age movements, people that are into Sumerian texts, like let's say the Billy Carsons of the world, they'll tell you that there are a group of entities called the Anunnaki, and they created us. And so I'm not saying that that's what the Smithsonian's goal is to get you to believe that a race of aliens or something like that created you. But I do think the name of the game is create a different narrative that is in opposition to the Christian worldview. That's
Confusion.
yes.
It seems like every single day that we go through our life, every single day we get bombarded with things that are gonna not only split you in half mentally, morally, spiritually, even physically through your DNA at times, but confusion and push you and always drag you away by your hair, drag you away from God, bro. Even in the Christian church, I find stuff like that. Even in different doctrines, I find stuff like that. You know, some of the biggest people, preachers. What's his name? You said Willie Carson. Didn't he get caught up also lying about just recently, like about 2 months ago?
Yeah, he was doing a debate with Wesley Huff, who is like an actual theologian, somebody that is gone to school. This is his major profession. It's his number one pursuit in life. And basically, what we found out.
He's a language expert.
A language expert, yeah. And what we found out was that Billy Carson has weaved this narrative that very much is in favor of the Sumerian Anunnaki worldview. And it's become his bread and butter. It's how he is lionized and championed within this community. It's how he built he's got a bit of an empire. Turns out that it was all off the back of misrepresenting, mistranslating, and also flat out, I don't want to say lying, but it does seem that way about these old ancient texts. And so Wesley Huff, when Billy Carson is there trying to steelman his arguments, Billy is making reference to one text or another, and Wesley Huff is reaching over his shoulder and pulling those texts off of his own bookshelf and then opening up to the page and saying, that's a translation error, that is a misrepresentation, or the text that you're referencing actually has no place in this dialogue because it doesn't come from the time that you say it came from, and it is well regarded as a fraudulent text.
Yeah, so some of those texts, the history of Barnabas and what he's calling the Sinai Bible, which is really just like Sinaiticus, is just a bunch of different books. He's he's just telling him, he's like, oh, I understand what you're saying, because he's, Billy Carson is saying, like, Jesus wasn't real, or if he was real, he just went to Egypt and he was some sort of a magician. He was like, okay, well, the books that you're referencing that say this are either works of fiction or created in the wrong time frame. Like there are certain genealogical facts that they get wrong, and they would have gotten it right if it was written in the time frame that it claims to be written in. And
right.
Other books like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth that he always talks about, there's no evidence for this even being real. I personally believe that it might have existed, but the guy himself admits that it's a work of fiction, but he was influenced to write this by some sort of entities. But in the end of the day, the author himself says, yeah, this is a work of fiction, and Billy's presenting it as real. So it's just more obfuscation and confusion. But it's interesting how big of a platform that would get compared to, well, I mean, I guess the Bible is fairly big, but the Bible gets spiked and shit on quite a lot.
Right. And just to kind of lay out for your audience where we're coming from, you will look into these texts and you will find many truths. And if you're into the New Age movement, you will also find many truths. Gnosticism, if you look into the Vedic belief system, all of these things hold nuggets of truth. Where the Bible deviates, and it's the most important deviation, is the nature of these things. So a lot of people will give me crap and they'll say, oh, you believe that your religion is correct and all the other religions are wrong. And I would say, well, it's not really that simple. I believe that the other religions are describing real events and real deities. My contention is that these deities that they're describing are actually the fallen. So within the Christian narrative, there are two falls that the angels take part in. One is Lucifer's rebellion, and the other one is the fall of the Watchers. And in the fall of the Watchers, I believe it's like 1/3 of the angels rebelled against God and were cast down to Mount Hermon. And when they did get cast down, they made a pact to operate in unison and stick together, and then basically subverted mankind, took human wives, and gave birth to all sorts of monstrosities, also placed themselves as kings and sort of lowercase g gods. So when you have an entity like Zeus, who seems to have a Sumerian counterpart named Hadad Baal, these are described in the same way, being this sort of the king of storms, and they are depicted even in the same way. Even Hadad can be seen holding what looks like a cluster of lightning bolts in his fist. All of these entities have a counterpart in another culture that seems to just be them by a different name. And I would say that's likely the truth. And then I would go a step further and say, and they are likely the fallen who rebelled against God and started to accept the veneration and worship of mankind. And they would give them things in exchange for women and for worship. Like, for example, Azazel is said to have given mankind metallurgy, as well as, I think, eye makeup and things like that. And there's no shortage of that either. You go through all these various pantheons, and this god is responsible for giving you this development. And so it's been this way since the dawn of time. It's an exchange, technological advancements in exchange for women and worship. And so that's my only deviation right there is, sure, the Vedics are onto something. Sure, the Greeks were onto something. They just had the nature of who they were worshiping wrong.
Damn. Right before we jump into the second question, correct me if I'm wrong and educate me, please. The Bible, I think in Genesis, does it say that we made man in our image? Does it use the word our?
So originally, it says the Elohim. That's the they, right? When it's make them in our image, rather. The our is the Elohim made man in the image of the Elohim. So the Elohim seems to be a terminology that you would use for like really high level spiritual entities, spiritual beings. So God is an Elohim, but so are these other creatures. So that's like, you would look at a king and his, let's say, cabinet, right? A king has the hand of the king and all these other people that are helping. They're all humans, just like these are all Elohim, but there's obviously a hierarchy going on here. So you would call a king a human, but you wouldn't identify him as the same as the people that are around him. And so it's similar to that. And of course, God the Father being the one who created everything. But yeah, it does say that. It says we shall create them in our image. And it's look, what's the first commandment, right? Top? It's thou shalt not take any. What is it?
Don't take any other gods before me. So these other gods do exist. So, and I suppose they do share an image with God the Father also. But with that scripture, it's also it's one of the things that I think about. Could he be talking to Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit? If you believe in the Trinity, the 3 in 1, where that is his right hand there before for all time, and just manifests himself as a human being when the time was right. Yeah, possibly. But I think these other his other cast of angels that are around him are the same. What would you like? They're Elohim, so the same classification. They're like the same race of whatever this thing is, this heavenly body. He's just above them. So yeah, when he's talking to them, he's like, let's make them like us. We're pretty cool. Let's fucking Make
We're
them like
pretty
this.
badass, bro. Look what we
We are
got.
pretty dope.
How would that conversation go, bro? Dude, hey, you feeling like making some humans today? Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's make them have 5 fingers instead of 4. You know how all the cartoons have 4 fingers?
Yeah. Well, it seems like the Nephilim had 6, so it's like let's make them have 5. You know what's funny too is I don't know if you're familiar with like Angel Studios, the guys who did like Sound of Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out with a Nephilim cartoon. It just got announced. It's an anime. Kind of looks dope. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to watching it with my son.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
I
and it
would
looks
watch
really
that.
good. It's like about the Archangel Gabriel, and it's about the fall. It's when the fall happens and the Nephilim are birthed out of it, right? The fall of the fallen angels and the corruption of mankind. And so honestly, it looks really dope. I highly recommend checking out the trailer for that because it got me pumped.
The real life anime superhero Dragon Ball Z Goku Saiyan stuff, right? Like real Kamehameha, real I'm talking about the angels fighting these real freaking things. Like that shit's bad, bro. You know
Yeah.
what? And, like what you guys were talking, I was just mentioning. I was conversating with understand Enigma Files Joseph, and he told me last night actually he was telling me like, yeah, well, you know, the Minotaur. Right, one of these abominations, right? It has a head, it has the body, and still to this day, you have the run of the bulls in Europe, in many places in Europe and Greece and stuff, right? And they have like these ways to worship and customs that came out of legend, out of myth, out of lore, and you know, it's again glorifying that type of God with the small G again. So it's pretty interesting how today we live under these customs like Christmas. It has a bunch of different occult and symbolism in it too. Talking about occult and symbolism, you came at me on January 6th and you dropped an episode called MK Ultra Zombies, bro. Shut the front door, bro. I did a freaking deep dive on zombies, 2 episodes on zombies, so I'm pretty well versed in the zombie world, bro. When I grew up, I was coming out of the teenagehood. I was always prepping for either a giant earthquake, because I live in California, or freaking zombie apocalypse, dog. So when 2020 came around and they were saying everybody's dying, I was like, yo, this is it. I bought the Beretta and I was ready to go, bro. I even made myself a little bat with spikes. Like, I'm talking about real shit. So then I was like, okay, well, let's keep, be vigilant. If they come through the store, I'm gonna be ready. Dude, I had a whole fort at my house, dog. Anyway, the point is, zombies. There's 7 types of zombies. One is a magic zombie, like in Africa. You have a bunch of different zombies. I figured now, see, now I look like an idiot because I said I was well versed. The point is, CIA documents say that there is the U.S. is prepared with Complan 8888 with 7 deadly zombie types. I never read anything about an MK Ultra zombie, bro. Talk to me, man.
So the premise of the MK Ultra zombie is just this amalgamation, right? You have like the way you would create. A lot of people suspect this is what's going on with like let's say a school shooter situation where they're on SSRIs and they're inundated with all kinds of pharmaceuticals, but also there is a what would you call it, like a subliminal hypnotic aspect through the media that they're absorbing. So it seems like a long time ago, you might have had a scenario where these intelligence agencies were taking you, strapping you in a chair and doing you Clockwork Orange style, right? Keeping your eyes open, keeping you on some sort of, drug, whether it's a psychedelic or something like that. And inundating you with whatever this horrifying media that you're forced to take in. And then when it's all said and done, you are a Manchurian candidate. You know what I mean? You do whatever you're told. So it falls into those lines. The only difference is now it's no longer happening in a federal building, a government building, a black ops site or something like that. It's like we're all on a constant influx of some sort of drug, right? Especially with the marijuana too, because it's like as soon as the industry started embracing legalization, they started to up the THC dramatically and down the CBD. So the anti-anxiety component is no longer there. These are like highly psychedelic, highly anxiety inducing substances. So we're all constantly on a drug, which by the way, some CIA agent is like pumping his fist because he would have never imagined that you could get us to self-administer these things. And then we sit down in front of the television and we're inundated with whatever their MK Ultra programming is, right? So it's no longer happening in a lab anymore. We don't have to be strapped down to a chair. We're gleefully doing it to ourselves. Now, if you incorporate some sort of, like aerosolized chemical compound, maybe let's say you were like spraying it in the skies, and it was leaving trails there, and they were hanging in the sky all day and expanding, and then eventually dropping down to the ground, and you're breathing them in, you're drinking it inside your water. Also, your water is like fluoridated, and it's got all these traces of SSRIs and everything. The argument here is that if there ever was a plan to create a psychological zombie, one that you could brainwash, like I said, the Manchurian Candidate, we're doing this at scale right now, and we're doing it to ourselves.
Check this. Hit it, Lobster.
Yeah, I was gonna say by default right now, America, probably 60% of us are just default walking zombies on SSRIs of some sort, on some sort of even if you're like, just smoking weed, if the government weed is, who knows what's in this stuff. So I feel like we're on this like baseline precursor for whatever MK Ultra experiment they want to do on us. But it crosses the line from MK Ultra experiment to actual literal zombies when you start talking about parasites. And that's what that episode kind of dives deep into. And one of the parasites, it's crazy. One of the parasites that's mentioned by this guy, his name is Rob from Black Labs. He was just on today again talking about like a recent update with it. But one of the parasites is the Chagas virus, and it's basically like a beetle. And when it bites you, it has like a certain neurotoxin that changes the pathways in your brain. And depending
kind of
on,
like the mushroom zombie, like the
like
ants, right?
Yeah. So I mean, this one has some conotoxins that will actually leave your the pathways in your brain changed and completely open to whatever. Then there's some theories about graphene oxide mixed with this sort of parasite that could possibly have some kind of nanotechnology in it. Now you're talking about MK Ultra victims, but on a level that we've never seen before, where they could be probably, completely non-sentient people. So this is getting very close to an actual zombie. We also mentioned the drug scopolamine. That's like another. It makes people very susceptible to whatever's going on, but that's used in during MK Ultra techniques. But the line between MK Ultra and an actual zombie is like paper thin at this point right now. So we did that episode, and I'm just like waiting for this shit to pop off at this point.
Yeah,
Bro.
and one more thing on that is we're talking about a conglomeration of all these different elements, right? Whether it's something in the air, or it's the MK Ultra aspect, or you're on SSRIs, or whatever. There's also the frequency aspect, right? So I don't know if you've ever watched Kingsman, where the idea was basically everybody gets a free phone. The government provides free phones, but it's got a special chip in it that can emit this frequency that turns everybody basically into rage monsters, and they all start becoming.
They tell you what
violent.
they're doing. They tell you what they're doing, bro.
So
that's a really underrated movie, by the way. Great
It's
film.
a great movie. Do you remember the scene where they fought in the church?
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's the second one.
That was the second one where they fought in the
Yeah, I
church
think
to
so.
Freebird. Oh my god,
I think
it was such an incredible scene.
It's amazing, bro.
Yes. So I mean, I don't think we're looking at just one thing here. It's like, what if you can create the perfect storm? What if you're spraying the things? What if it's in the drinking water? What if it's in the media that you're absorbing? What if it's a frequency that's being emitted by some 5G tower somewhere? There's like all these things coming together at once. And I think that's probably the
They
goal.
are. It's not what if, it's like they currently are doing this. The question is like, to what level are they doing this, and to what level are they able to do this? And I think they're able to do it pretty high, dude.
Let me add this part, bro. To the point that even the cat crap. Yeah, you heard it right. Cat crap. So I guess people that own cats may have a little residue of cat crap on their food.
He's got it.
I got toxoplasmosis.
And then that's what it's called. Fuck, excuse my freaking my low budget English here.
The only reason I know it is because I got it. Before this episode, I was literally laying down with my cat on my chest. I love my cats, dude. And look, there's a couple of things about toxoplasmosis. Like, it makes you really
we're at the part of the show where we defend toxoplasmosis. Go ahead.
That's right. We're toxoplasmosis defenders, or at least I am. But it makes you look. I think it's got some perks, right? Number one, it makes you love your cat. But number two, it makes you really prone to taking risks. Like, I don't have a mechanism that like I don't have a fear mechanism in me, which I think is what allows us to do. We do. You can see over our shoulder here, Bohemian Grove. It's a semi-annual event where we're doing comedy and conspiracy. Like, we have no business doing that. We're just podcasters, but instead we're throwing live events. We're getting Sam Tripoli to come and hang out, and like these things
I was once told by Tim Pool that I'm too retarded to stop,
and he's correct.
Right.
He's
And
absolutely correct. And I think it's toxoplasmosis by proxy, because I think when I come and hang out with Top Lobster, it has to. I'm doing like the way you would vaccine shed. I'm like
I shit in
toxoplasmosis
David's
shedding.
mouth, is what I'm saying. I shit in his mouth. He got whatever I gave him, and now we're both wild people.
Now we're just wild people. Yeah. So, but you're absolutely right. Trebles, toxoplasmosis is even another one, and it does have like a bent to it where you have a proclivity for violence. So yeah, that's a small microcosm of something that if they figured out how to hijack and expand on,
Can't
there you go,
dude. Yeah.
Dude, I have to add also. So, under this theory that everyone's under MK Ultra, and you said 60% of the majority in the United States are under some type of freaking pharmaceutical drug.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And have you ever seen American Ultra, the movie? American Ultra? Okay,
No.
I forgot the name of the kid that's in it, but the chick from Twilight's in there, and she's the girlfriend, and I guess she's his handler. He gets somebody whispers a code in his ear. He activates. He becomes a massive killer. Oh, his kung fu activates, right? And he's an amazing dude. All right, so he goes on.
Jesse Eisenberg.
There you go, and then he fights off the world, whatever, and then he bones her. Good stuff. All right,
crushing.
but in that movie. It started making me think, they already have these people. And it's not, they don't get activated the way the movie tells you they get activated. They get activated like this. They go into their doctor's appointment's office and they tell you, hey, well, you have depression. You have all of these drugs. You're under 9 pills a day. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take one out and we're going to replace it with something else. And if you have any changes or anything, just call me back. And then they leave, they get their new prescription, and then they flipped. 30 days later, that person's shooting down a freaking a school. Yeah. And it changes like that because they activate you through those drugs. The frequency stuff, I feel like it's really important because, buildings, sacred geometry, etc., bells, churches, acoustic properties, architecture, all that stuff, right? It has the frequency, it tells you that frequency is the code to life. But I think pharmaceuticals have a bypass on that, and they control a lot of what we do. So it's kind of crazy, bro. Mm-hmm,
yeah. I mean, we're overprescribing to the tune of probably millions in this country, and I think we're the only ones beside New Zealand that have our own advertised pharmaceuticals. I was watching with my son the other day, and I go, wait, look at this. He's only 9 years old. I go, look, pay attention to this, and it's an advertising for some sort of SSRI. But I'm like, listen to what they're saying as the people are holding hands and skipping through the field on the commercial, and as they're doing that, it's like a bit from like Chappelle's Show or something. They're like, may cause depression, suicidal thoughts, eyeball bleeding, internal hemorrhaging, like explosive diarrhea, all these different things are going down this laundry list of horrors. And meanwhile, it's like this beautiful couple holding hands, skipping through a field. But yeah, I mean, we're all on it now. And I think it's a touch and go situation where they used to have, like I said, the guy in the chair with his eyes peeled open. You used to have to actually spend time with your Manchurian candidate in order to brainwash them. Now we are brainwashed by an entire industry that is set in motion, and now they don't have to touch it anymore. The wheels are turning, the gears are turning, and they don't have to have their hands on it anymore. And it cranks out potential candidates for whatever false flag operation you'd like to execute.
But I'd also say don't sleep on the vibration stuff. So if you're gonna put any stock in Tesla, and I'm not talking about the Elon Musk company. One of his famous quotes says, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So there is a role that's played when somebody is doped up to that point. Like, let's say Matthew Crooks, right? The guy that shot at Donald Trump. This dude, I mean, he's in BlackRock commercials. Put all that stuff aside. He's also on some sort of SSRIs. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that guy took a shot at all at Donald Trump. I don't think anybody did. I think they did shoot into the crowd. This is another thing. I think they did shoot into the crowd, probably from the water tower that was like 500 yards behind him. That dude was set up to go there, lay on that roof with that gun. How do you get somebody to do that? Well, I think there's multiple techniques of suggestibility that someone has to go through, and one of those, they have to be speaking to them, either speaking or some kind of frequency in their ear. We know people have gone crazy from brain skull. What is it?
Voice to skull technology, or the voice of God is what they call it.
Right. As a matter of fact, just today we did an episode with Control Alt History, and we talked about something called the spiriphone.
Mhm.
Is that what it was, David?
It's actually, I got it right here. It's where the hell is it? Spiricom.
Spiricom, right? So this thing is like basically it's a radio device or a phone that they were using in the 70s, and they were communicating with the dead. And this thing was set at 29.490 hertz. There's a couple of people who claim to have used it. There's even like very credible people who said, yeah, I've seen this thing used. We're talking to somebody that's not here, that's not around. This person's giving us information from some other realm. We don't know how it works. This also leads into some people using it heavily and then getting schizophrenia and losing their mind, going crazy. So do you see the overlap of like between drugs, psychedelics to get like there's many ways to reach this realm. Frequency is one of them. And I think people sleep on that a lot.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we're around this shit all the time, from our music to even if somebody's talking to you. Like think of Barack Obama. Before I was like a conspiracy theorist and really kind of into talking on a microphone, I was a musician. I used to play in front of people, and I got obsessed with frequency, but specifically something called relative and perfect pitch. And Jimi Hendrix had perfect pitch. Pharrell Williams has perfect pitch. Neo has perfect pitch. Go down the list of these famous musicians. Other people that do have perfect pitch or relative pitch, meaning like they can hear a note and tell you that's a F sharp just out of the blue. Relative pitch would be I could hear a note and I can hear another one and I can tell you where it's at on the spectrum. So then I could deduce like where we are. But these great public speakers like Barack Obama have something called relative or perfect pitch. So when they're talking to you, they're hitting every inflection that they're hitting, because this is just vibrations that I'm using with my mouth to talk to you. So believe it or not, I'm manipulating you if I'm saying something to you, because I want you to either believe me or not believe me. I'm trying to persuade you in any kind of way that I can. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I lie to the people, and it's easy. And the way you do it is by manipulating tones. And tones are frequency and vibration. But people like Barack Obama, like I keep saying, he captivated an entire nation with his
Hypnotize them.
Yeah, it's a hypnotism. It's his cadence. It's the pitch that he's hitting. It's the vowels that he's enunciating. Even the words that he's using, and people eat it up. You see the same thing with anybody. Hitler, Donald Trump, and I'm not saying Hitler is Donald Trump. I'm just saying like, hey, these guys are doing something, and you're not paying attention. So you can sleep on that if you want, but that's mind control, dude.
And I would argue that in spell casting, you know, if you're talking
I was
about
to hit that, bro.
Yes. So,
Yes.
I mean, of course, I think that the reason that it's significant, it's like, why is this combination of words important? Why is this chant important? It's a frequency thing. So you're doing a number of things, right? Especially if you're a Satanist or a Luciferian and you're doing a ritual. So you've got geometry in the formation of the ritual, right? This geometric shape encapsulated within a circle. You've got a highly emotionally charged atmosphere, because obviously the ambiance, you're wearing these cloaks, it's lit by candle, everybody's in the same, and then obviously you're sacrificing. There's fear, there's anger, there's all these negative emotions that are being charged. If there's blood involved, then you have a conduit, you have a conductor there. And so there's all these elements go into a ritual. It's the frequency, it's the conductor, it's the geometry, it's the emotionally charged atmosphere. And so I think it's all the same thing. It's all part of something bigger. So when it comes to controlling a person, I would say, and you know, if they can do voice to skull technology, or they can do the heart attack gun that the CIA has, how are they doing it? They're doing that with frequency.
Netflix special came out. I think it's called. It's about a TSA guy. It's the guy from.
I watched this. Flight log or something like that.
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, the guy from the movie we just mentioned, Kingsman. The main dude.
That is him. That is him. Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So he's a TSA guy. They're talking to him, thinking like, okay, you gotta follow the rules. Don't die. We're gonna shoot you. We're gonna kill your wife. Blah, blah, blah. And then the way they kill one of the Homeland Security, I think he's an officer. They come and some dude just comes and slashes him through the arm, and it's like a poison, and it gives him a direct heart attack. Again, they're telling you what they already have, what they're available to do.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You touched. I lost my train of thought. You talk magic. Okay, so quick question. I mean, quick little story. My real mother, I'm adopted by Mexicans.
One thing, sorry, as you mentioned that, it's funny because so the main toxin in that movie is Novichok. That's what they're saying that they're going to spray on the plane. The guy from Black Labs, you should talk with him, Rob from Black Labs. He said that he's surmising that they are spraying low dose Novichok on us at all times and keeping us at like baseline sick. So not enough to kill, but enough to manipulate. And then you spray other things that get inside of your system. Sorry, go ahead. I don't want to lose that thought.
Oh, that was a bomb, bro.
You remember the fog that happened a couple weeks ago? We were talking about. That's what he's talking
Novichok,
about.
and they gotta tell you what they're doing, and then they do it. They roll it out.
Do it.
Someone talked about my Mexican family. I'm 12 years old, but my genetic mom, she's from Guatemala. Her mom had 12 kids. So my grandmother had 12 kids. She was number 9. She pooped her out, basically. She was hanging close and she just squeezed and she came out and we got her, took the thing out, dragged all the cables out and threw her into the trash can. So my great grandmother, my mom's grandmother picked her up out of the trash, took her home. So back then I'm talking about Guatemala, fourth world country, if that even exists, right? This is back then in the 70s. My mom used to live with her, and she was a medium. She was a witch. She would become a wild hog at night, and kill the men that she would sleep with. One night they stoned her to death. My mom saw. My mom went crazy, and then my mom started talking to her in the afterlife. My mom had long black hair. She slept on a hammock, and every night she would leave her hair hanging out. And when she would wake up, she would have her hair braided.
Wow.
A lot of spiritual stuff, and it connects to what she's saying, because later on I did a deep dive on braided hair in witchcraft, and it's crazy. It connects. I was like, oh my God, she's crazy. Anyway, she went schizophrenic. My mom went crazy for a while, which is why I don't have her in my life now. But she went crazy and extremely manipulative. The point of that story is magic is another highway to controlling masses. Very occult. So there's 3 different branches. You're talking to me about technological, which is pharmaceutical companies, technology, frequency. And then you have the spiritual essence, right? And then the magic essence.
Yes.
I don't see a difference. I see them as all 3 in the same. And by the way, you should come on the show and talk about that.
I'd be very interested in hearing about that. Yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about magic and how it's relevant to this conversation, it's like Hollywood. Hollywood is spell casting, right? And I sometimes it's silly to get caught up in the language of things. I think it's applicable often, but sometimes it's like an ear beating. But I mean, you have this idea, right? Like, what do they do to determine who's an actor? They do a casting call. They cast, right? That's how they determine who's going to be in what role. And then it's like Hollywood, right? Well, what wood did the Druids use to cast spells? They used wood from the holly tree. So it's like all of this language is kind of baked into this thing that's happening, and we're sitting down and we're watching the silver screen, and all of our ideas and opinions are all pretty much manufactured, and they're coming through this propaganda machine. It's bread and circus on the lowest level. You recognize it as a distraction from the more important things in life, but at the highest level, it's witchcraft. It's modern day witchcraft, and it's no surprise that behind those doors, those actors, those celebrities, those musicians, what are they doing? They're hanging out with like a Marina Abramovic. They're doing spirit cooking ceremonies. All of it is right there out in the open. But I guess for the average person, it looks like, I don't know, the elites just engage in like weird decadence, and we couldn't possibly understand them because they're elites and we're not. And then we pass it off that way. We just go, look at them just doing strange stuff. But it's like, no, they're doing rituals. They're doing ceremonies. They're casting spells. And they used to have to, once again, get a person and do this against their will. Now they're doing it en masse to the entire country.
I did a quick deep dive on. So I have this theory that on the 8th of the month is a major cataclysmic magic ritual to control the humanity, bloodshed, power transfer, money transfers, all this stuff. So I'm not gonna go into detail what I've learned on every single 8th of every month, but I noticed that. So something that triggered that thought was what you said. They would grab kids, people, and they would go into the woods and they do their rituals when the full moon, etc., etc. One of the eighth, so there's 8 Sabbaths in the world. One of the main Sabbaths. The 8th one is called Samhain, Samhain. And I just recently learned this. And they mostly what they do is they would use to celebrate and sacrifice kids under a red blue moon and under a wolf moon, which was just recently had in January on Monday. And it was created by lighting a huge bonfire.
Oh, that's interesting.
Bonfire, California, Hollywood.
Episode. Yeah, you just had the biggest bonfire.
We covered this. We covered this on our Thanksgiving episode. Man, there's a lot that goes into Samhain. If you give me,
it's huge, right? It has a lot of more stuff. I'm just giving you like the tip because I'm still diving into it. Like I did a soft deep dive, but yeah. So and then I seen that movie Hansel and Gretel, and I'm like, what the fuck? They would cast and have witches bring offerings to see what witch would be the main witch to be within the big witches to do the giant thing with the kids. I was like, dog, that's fucked up, bro. And it all connects.
Yeah. And you see these ceremonies, they do take place, right? Where it's like some people would make the argument that if you have to go through ceremonies and rituals to be initiated into like Freemasonry or something, then we've all been initiated to some degree because they started doing these things on scale, at really large events. So like, for example, some people argue that there is a sort of a Mothers of Darkness or a high priestesshood within Luciferianism, and that for a time Beyonce held that title, and there was actually a discernible moment where everybody watched her pass the crown, and that moment was when Taylor Swift, dressed all in white, standing on a stage, is going through a humiliation ritual at the hands of Kanye West. And so it becomes this giant moment, culturally significant, right? Pop culture just eats it up. Wait a minute, I'm gonna let you finish in a minute, but Beyonce had the best music video of all time or something like that, right? That's what Kanye said, and he embarrasses a young Taylor Swift who is promising but not quite there yet. Then afterwards, Taylor Swift reemerges to announce the winner of another category, but this time she's wearing a red dress. So obviously the white dress is symbolic of innocence, of virginity, right? Oftentimes you will dress the thing you're going to sacrifice in white. And then later on, she comes out and she's changed. Now she's the lady in red. And what happens to Taylor Swift after that? She becomes a phenom, really, to the extent where a lot of people are confused because the music's not that good. She's not that talented. I don't want to piss off all the Swifties out there. I mean, she's got some bangers, but it just doesn't make sense because she seems to be the, premier pop star right now. And so people argue that what you saw there was a transference of power. We all were subjected to it. They did it right in front of our faces, and we enabled it. We enabled it. We gave it all the energetic power that it needed to actually be meaningful. So, I mean, these things are alive and well, and they happen constantly, and they're happening through Hollywood.
When you do witchcraft, and I'm not saying that because I know, I'm connecting dots here. You have to technically die in a spiritual sense and be reborn.
Yes. You have to experience a death.
Experience a death. And exactly what you do when you get baptized. Another spiritual part, right? And you dressed in white, you die, and you're reborn in Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And with that, guys, let them know where they can find you one more time.
You can find me at David L. Corbo on Twitter. And we're also on Instagram, Nephilim Death Squad, anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Find me at TopLobsta.com. That's where you can buy some cool T-shirts. Like, David has it on Top Lobsta with an A everywhere else. And if you guys are into comedy, go to check out Tower Gang. That'll be Wednesday nights, 9-11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight. Yeah, I don't know when this releases, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you again, guys. Make sure you check them out. They're going to be on the drop-down menu, special guests and links, and also in the description of the show. I want to thank you guys, and I want to bless you guys. Everything that you do and touch, everything that you feel, everything that you produce will become wealth and health for your family. God bless you guys. Thank you for spending some time here on the show. Also, do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify because that allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace out, guys. That was cool.
Paranoid Radio.